Hello, it's your host Leah, returning for a new installment. And the good news is that yesterday, when I got home from the Minnesota game, I filmed some footage, my immediate reaction to the game, and it is blurry. So, how good is that? It's not usable. So, the other good news is that something that I filmed in Omaha has not worked at all, so I'm going to have to refilm that as well. So we're off to a good start. It is actually Wednesday now, Wednesday night. So I arrived into, you know what, let's just backtrack because now we have to do that anyway. So in the Omaha video that I filmed, it didn't work. I talked about the difficulties of having to catch a 5 o'clock train in the morning, which meant I had to leave my accommodation in the Falls anyway, and that at the time I was very stressed about that. I was very stressed about that. Anyway, it worked out fine. It didn't work out fine. It worked out eventually. I got on the train, everything was fine. So I get on the train. For this leg, I'm in economy coach, I think it's called, on the train, and I travel from Omaha to Chicago. It is, I don't know how many hours. So if we get on at 5 o'clock, it's the same time zone. We get in at about 2 o'clock. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, about 9 hours. Anyway, it's not unpleasant. During this time, I have I have a coffee, about 6 of the leftover animal crackers I bought at the zoo, and some goldfish. That's it. That's what I eat all day. And by the time it gets to night time, I'm very hungry. I eat a meal at the affiliated restaurant near my hotel. It's awful, and so do not enjoy that. The next day, wake up again bright and early to get the 6:30 bus from Chicago to St. Paul. Now, if you watched last year, you will know that I had some reservations about getting Greyhound because it was a disaster last time. It was so awful, but we also had to travel overnight, which I think added to the awfulness of it. But this one was fine. I don't know if you know this, but if you're traveling in America now, you should know that if you get the Greyhound now, you can actually reserve your seat, and if you want to make sure you don't need to sit next to another person, you can pay a little bit more. It's less than paying for 2 full seats, but it's more than paying obviously for a single seat, and that ensures that you travel alone from across your destination. So that is what I did, just in cases. And anyway, so get the bus from Chicago to St. Paul, and I get the bus because the train arrives into St. Paul at about 11 or 11:30 at night. Now, St. Paul Union Depot has some very nice reviews on the line because it's been refurbished and it's looking quite nice. However, the similarity in those reviews is that seems to be limited security. They don't know. There are some questions around safety, that particularly at night time, and some comments about staying away from the light rail and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, cool, but what if you don't know where anything is, right? Cannot stay away from a thing you don't know. Anyway, that's too risky, it turns out. So a little bit of my brain obviously works because I go to myself, hey, don't arrive somewhere at 11:30, but a little bit of my brain obviously doesn't work well enough because it says we get into a place at 5 o'clock in the morning, as if that's not practically the same thing. Like, this is one absolute recommendation. If you have to travel, if you're choosing to travel, try not to choose anything that departs or arrives between 10 and 7. It's too late and too early, so don't do it. Anyway, you get in on the bus trip is fine. Actually, everywhere we stop is also fine. It's snowing. I just leave for a second and there's still snow. Like big snow, fluffy. Look at that. Oh gosh. if you didn't have, if you remember the 1 hour stay over in the Pittsburgh train station at midnight, didn't have that this time because it was all during the day. And but I get in and have to go to the bathroom before I walk to my hotel anyway, because I have my suitcase. I think I need a big stall, right? I need to go into, like one of the bigger stalls. Anyway, the disabled toilet is locked and can't get in there, and I go, oh, it's fine, I'll just go in this other one. Anyway, I walk into the toilet and I see a person from the last toilet in the line. She is slithering out. This is exactly the right description. Slithering out from under the last toilet into the second last toilet. Now, there's 2 people in that last one, which is a big cubicle booth. Look, obviously I didn't get close to have a look. I don't know why it was bigger, whatever. Anyway, she slithers out from underneath the toilet wall, sees me, and still continues on her way to slither under the other one, and then uses that toilet. Now, at no point does she think to stand up, open the door, walk around, unlock the door, go to the toilet, come out and wash her hands. No, alright. And this was at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think I absolutely made the right choice not to arrive at 11:30 at night, because this was broad daylight behaviour. A human being slithering, literally slithering. Anyway, so I get to my hotel, just walk here because I picked it because it's a nice easy walking distance between here and the arena. Get to my hotel, check in. This is the room tour. Alright, I'm in Minneapolis. Well, St. Paul actually. That's the side that I'm on. I don't know which way it is to Minneapolis. Jesus, I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, this is my view from my room. I'm on the top floor. And that is a good view of the church and chapel over there. Anyway, so this is my room. I don't need a double, but that's what was available. Anyway, that's me looking terrible. Look how massive my hair is, Jesus. I have only just checked in, so this is actually the most pristine you'll probably see any room that I come to. So yeah. Everything's already dead bolted, even though it's the middle of the afternoon. There is a mini fridge, coffee making, and a microwave. How good is that? And here's a toilet, just a toilet. It's got a curtain as well around there. Anyway, so this is it. This is home for about 4 days. Oh, and I forgot to say, part of their thing here at the Hilton is you obviously get bottled water at heaps of places, but you get a little warm cookie. Anyway, so because I've had a couple of early starts and I'm a bit like, I decided I'll just take it easy, sort out all my stuff, and then have a shower to refresh before I go to the game. And then obviously I go to the game. I woke up this morning not feeling great. I had a bad headache and I didn't get out of bed till after 11, and then I had a coffee because I got a coffee machine in the room and a protein shake because I didn't have to leave the room. And then I thought, you need to do something though. You need to go out and do something. So I did eventually get ready, and I went to the Science Museum of Minnesota, which is also on the St. Paul side and within easy walking distance. So it's not that far from Excel Arena. So if you go in the Skyway there, and then you cross over at the convention centre, you do have to go outside for one little tiny bit, but it's one bit. You'll live, although it's flipping freezing, and then you go in there, do your science stuff, and then come back and obviously reverse the trip. So when I get there though, I still have this in my head, and I think I'll just have a proper coffee here anyway. I order a medium latte from the little cafe thing out the front, and the dude who makes it for me, it is so hot, right? I buy a medium one. Hey, that's on me. Probably should have got a small. Anyway, it's so hot. I would have been able to melt the One Ring in it. I couldn't drink it. I was stirring it, trying to cool it down, and I'm like, look, you can't take drinks inside either, so I have to wait to finish this giant boiling hot coffee before I can go inside. Anyway, but when you get inside, it's totally worth it. It's a great museum. It's so interactive. It's so hands-on. Like, it's really fun, and it has these different layers. So there's this huge astronaut that goes for like 3 levels. And there's a little section where you can kind of film your face in it, and then they project your face comes up through the astronaut's mask. It's so clever, and it's a really, like, it's such a good thing for kids or adults to be doing. And then so that's like when you first come in the door, you see this gigantic astronaut head. And then there's I went down to the next level, and that's where they have this, I think it's a permanent exhibition about race and racism, which is also really interesting. I like to go in those ones as well, because it's interesting to me how people deal with race, obviously, in other places. Also because this is where they had the Indigenous section.
And a bunch of people gone before you get to ourselves.
Which of course is always interesting to me, because I like to see how museums interact with their traditional owners or First Nations people. And this was really good. It has some really good first person narratives from people from different groups. One, I think, is Dakota. The other one, you know what, I'll look them up, because one of them I hadn't seen before and I don't really know how to properly say it. But they have these first person narratives, which is really good to see. And they also do this thing where they asked people, like, from those communities and nations, to give their perspectives of particular parts of the museum, which is really good, because they publish it like right in the part, even if it's negative. They're like, yep, what do you think of this? It's like, you know, don't love it. Well, they don't say it like that, but it's like, yeah, this gives this perception, or this gives this appearance, etc. Oh man, such a good idea. And continues then to place an importance on Indigenous voices, which obviously, again, something that I think is very important. But I think it's really important because this is a really highly interactive museum for kids. So anything that kids see in this space is reinforcing, like, what we want a new world to look like. So when it profiles people, it says, like, what their name is, what they do, what their pronouns are, you know, how they identify themselves, which is really this kind of repetition, which means that even if households might not particularly agree with that, kids are still getting exposure to that, so that eventually at some point they'll be able to make up their own minds about how they see the world, you know, whether they see it in the way that their families do it or if they see it in a different way. But that continuing exposure, I think it's a lot of some big sirens. I don't think it's really important. I just think it's really valuable as well anyway. But it is a super interactive museum. So in this same section, yeah, it's talking about, like, what race is, how we define it, whether you're like me and you can think about race as a cultural construct. Then it goes into Indigenous nations, you know, and that part of it. Then it goes also into a temporary exhibition, which is about Maya and Mayan people. This section as well is also incredibly interactive.
I think we can all agree, I've absolutely killed that. Well done, me.
Yeah, they really thought about how kids absorb information and what's interesting to them and what's, like, it's very, very good, like, really, really good, really clever and really interesting. And I think that, and activities for a wide variety of kids as well. Obviously, as we just saw, I participated in some of those activities. So anyway, come back to, that closes about 5, back to the hotel. I think, I don't know where I'm going to have dinner, because even though I'm in downtown, it's hard to tell kind of where restaurants are, because some are in the Skyway, some are in ground level, but I can't anyway. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to the hotel bar and have get some dinner there. Anyway, so I go there, order some dinner, just get a burger, have a beer, have a couple more beers. Anyway, I went there last night after the game and just got a couple of drinks. I was hoping it would just kind of like help me knock out to sleep a bit. Anyway, when I got my first one, she's like, is that to go or to have here? I was like, oh no, it's to have here. I thought that was weird because, you know, I'm trying to obviously go out and be in public spaces even though I'm on my own. So when I go down to have dinner, she's like, is that to have here or take away? I was like, oh no, it's to have here. And again, I'm feeling very self-conscious because I have not felt this self-conscious, like going out really, I guess, for a long time. I'm kind of getting used to the idea of being by myself and doing things by myself and not being faced by the fact that I am by myself. And then I was like, am I not supposed to be here? But then I think that maybe, you know, if people are traveling here for business, particularly women, that they might not want to be in this space alone. They might want to leave. I do like to try local beers, and as we talked about before, I can't have like full on like heavy ones because there's too much sugar in them. But I was drinking the Golden Light, which is, as they described it, as a premium cold filtered draft beer with the exceptionally smooth taste of Minnesota. So it was exceptionally smooth. I think a lot of these beers, though, and I was laughing about this with my friend, they have they don't taste particularly strong. You know what I mean? Like the alcohol content is still the same, but the light refers, I think, to the carbohydrate level of them. So that's why they're like Coors Light, Bud Light. But they're I consider them to be like a cordial beer. But it was nice. It was nice enough, very easy drinking because of that. I do eventually start talking to someone next to me. We're just having a very nice chat. He's from San Antonio. He has a great accent. Anyway, I'm starting to think it's probably time for me to go, and then, you know, he leaves as well. And I was thinking it's definitely time for you to go, because this beer is starting to taste like it's time to talk to strangers in the bar, and it is absolutely not time to do that. I was like, yeah, this beer it's time to go. But I'd been watching that bartender make all different drinks, and she was saying how like old fashions have become so popular now. Like, she used to make them 15 years ago, but they'd gone out of fashion, but now they're fashionable again. And she was like, have you had one? I said, yeah, I've had one, but not for a long time. Also, it didn't look like the way that you're making it. And anyway, I got one, go on, take away. And while I was there, someone did come in, and another woman did come in and get a drink, and she's like, take away. And she's like, yep, up to my room. She took her wine up to her room, and I was like, oh, so that is a thing. That's why they just assume that. But anyway, that's what I've been drinking. Now, I just got one old-fashioned to take away. There's a massive pour of whiskey, though. Massive. Because she said, do you want it with a bourbon or a scotch? I'm like, I don't know. What do you recommend? She said Maker's Mark, and another one I hadn't heard of before. She's like, they're the most popular ones. If I was drinking one, I'd probably have one like that. But you pick out of those two, and I went with the Maker's Mark. Anyway, it is pretty good. Either tomorrow or the day after, I'm going to go to the Mall of America. And then tomorrow night is the Avalanche game. So we'll be checking in again then. All right, bye. Hello. Well, we're going to wrap up St. Paul, Minneapolis. So the first day that I was here, I got in late-ish. Didn't really do anything. Just got to my room after the train trip. Had a shower, whatever. Then went to the game. The next day, I went to the Science Museum, which we talked about in an earlier video. Then yesterday, after a pretty late start, I went to the food court in the Skyway. I didn't find it. I didn't like go on a journey of discovery. Like, it's literally right on the Skyway when you come out of the hotel. And I needed a coffee, so I got a coffee. And I got also from one of the places, I got a Sloppy Joe, because I've never had a Sloppy Joe before. Anyway, it tasted exactly like what you expect it to taste like, a type of bolognese on a roll. Anyway, it was fine. It was quite nice. And because of the way that the roof is set up in there, that it's got like a skylight, I sat in the skylight part, so I felt like I was getting some sun, even though I was not really getting sun, but it felt like I was. And then I went for a walk through the Skyway back up to the Excel Arena because I had decided I needed to purchase something else, so I had to go back there, and I wanted to do it before the game. So, and I had some things I wanted to look around while I was out that way, so I thought I might as well just do it now. So I went out there, went to the shop, and then was like, I need to find the cathedral, the Catholic cathedral that's not far from there. Now, the weird thing is, I can see it from the corner of the road, and that's my laptop humming. I can see it from the corner of the road, but in my map it still says it's like 1 kilometre away, but I can very clearly see it, so I don't understand how it's still 1 kilometre away. And then I think, is this one of those things where I'll just start walking towards where I think it is, and then be like, oh no, you can't go through this way, and then I'll have to go back another way, and then I'll have to go back another way, and then I'll get really angry, and then I'll go in there with a not the type of heart you're supposed to take into church, and also just get really angry. So I just enjoyed it from afar and thought, it's fine, I'll look for the Anglican church as well. Anyway, so I go back into the Skyway, head back towards the rest of downtown, and then I remember that there's like this landmark tower, and so I assume if it's called Landmark Tower, it must be near landmarks, right? So there I find a public building. Actually, no, I found this because when I was, whoops, don't worry about that. When I was looking for the church where I thought the cathedral was, I saw that it had like this, like it said, a peanut sculpture, and I was like, I didn't know what this is about. And then I was like, oh, but that's near that Landmark Tower. So I'm assuming that because it's called Landmark Tower, there must be landmarks near it, right? And so there is. So I went to Landmark Centre, which is a really beautiful building. Yeah, so when I get in the building, because it just is, it's like a public building. So go in there, and I look in the foyer, this huge foyer. It's beautiful. And then I say that, she's like, hello. I'm like, oh, hi, how you going? Like, I'm like, I see this is a public building. Like, what can I do in here, right? Like, what do you look at? And then she told me that downstairs there's a bit of like a gangster, like display exhibition on, a small gangster one there, because the building now is a public building and it's used for weddings and soon to be proms, but it used to be a courthouse, and then I think the town centre, and then the courthouse, but also the post office. So it's had like these multiple uses that service the city anyway. So there's also a display on this floor with Uncle Sam and the post office. And oh yeah, she was very excited to tell me about the gangster stuff downstairs. And then she was like, and on the second floor there's like a music museum and a wood turning like gallery, and they're both free to attend, free and open to the public, so I can just head on over to those. She was very enthusiastic about the venue and the history of the place, which I think is really nice. It's nice when people obviously care about their job and their community anyway. So I go up to the second floor and have a look at the music museum. What is it called? Oh yeah, the Schubert Club Museum. But it's an instrument museum, right? So obviously I understand instruments make music, but what I mean is it has heaps of instruments in there, like heaps, and you can play them all. You just go and have a play of them, and when you first come in, there's like this sculpture of all these different instruments stuck to like a beam in the middle. Then there's a touch screen, and you touch that, and it picks out, like, you pick the instrument you want, and then it shows you what sound it makes if you've never heard it before, and then it shows you how you can play different sounds on there, and then you can pick another instrument. But then if you go back through the pack room, she's like, yeah, go down there and you can try playing things. Oh yeah, there's like a little keyboard lab, so you can learn how to play a little bit of something on a keyboard. There's like this big gong thing. course I hit that gong thing. We've met, of course I hit that gong thing. And no, it was really fun. There was a little kid in there. I was like, oh, have you played this? How loud is it? And he's like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, is it real loud? He's like, oh, it depends. I'm like, if you hit it hard, it's loud. He's like, yeah, but if you hit it soft, it's not too loud. I was like, oh, right then. Imagine that. I just like smashed it. Anyway, I did not. Acted like I tried to represent my country in a good way. And then I did go and have a look at the, it's a wood turning museum, I think it is, yeah. The American Association of Wood Turners Gallery of Wood Art. Anyhow, that's quite nice too. And the people in both of those galleries, museums, they were really nice, very friendly, you know, very welcoming. And like I said, the person who greeted me downstairs was really nice too. And actually, as I got the lift on the way down, a lady said to me, she's like, oh, have you looked at the, you know, if I gone to the courthouses? And I saw the courtrooms, and I said, oh no, but I think they're filming stuff in there today. And she's like, oh yeah, no, they probably still are. And she's like, all right, but have you looked at the other gallery? Because it was like an emerging artists gallery, which is really for high school students to display their work. So anyway, everyone's like, hey, check out our space, check out our wonderful public space. And it is beautiful. It's a beautiful building. Like, really, I can understand why you'd have a wedding there, 100%. So what did I, before that is when I saw the Peanuts sculptures, had a look at those. Actually, I'm doing this in reverse order. Yes, I've done this in reverse. So actually, when I come out the Skyway, there is a sculpture that I've seen the back of a few times, but not the front of, as I've walked past in the Skyway. But because I'm outside now, I can see the front of it. And it is out the front of Herbie's, a restaurant / club, and it is of Herb Brooks, who was the coach of the 1980 Olympic gold medalist hockey team, right? So that was made into a movie called Miracle, which is, from what I understand, a seminal ice hockey movie, which I have not seen. I actually don't know anybody who's seen it. But if you see any of those, you know, like social media posts where they like, oh, what's your favorite hockey movie? And then they go, Miracle. Anyway, that's a very popular one for obvious reasons. But it's not in our family. It's not the hockey origin story. The first ice hockey movie that we watched was not Mighty Ducks. We were way younger than that. It was the incredibly dramatic Youngblood with Patrick Swayze and a very young Rob Lowe, and I think it's Keanu Reeves' first movie. Like, he's just a real little pup in it as well. Anyway, we watched that movie so many times, probably like every weekend we watched it, and it's probably not completely appropriate for children our age when we were watching it, but we just loved it. We loved the fighting, and we loved the game. Obviously it was dramatic and it was fun, but that is in our family, that is the hockey movie that we like. Remember Youngblood? I actually tried to find a copy of it in the last 4 or 5 years, and I've been unsuccessful. I haven't seen it streaming on any platform, but in a way it's kind of good, because I reckon if I watched it now, I'd probably be like, oh wow, that's that, because I haven't seen it for years, like years and years I haven't seen it. But anyway, so that's beside the point. The point is, Herb Brooks is actually a real man. Miracle is the movie, but he is a real man, and he did a real multiple achievements in hockey, like real life achievements, not movie achievements. So anyway, I see the sculpture there, and then from there I walk past the public library and have a look on the outside of that. So it's a nice building. And then I go to the Peanuts sculptures, and they have 2. I don't know what characters look. I know one is called Linus in Lucy, Charlie Brown. Woodstock is the little bird. I know that one because my friend Andrea was like, "Where's Woodstock?" But I don't know who everyone is in it. I just thought they were cool, so I went and had a look at them, got a photo, and then after that is when I went to the Landmark Centre. And after that is when I walked further down the street and found the other church, which looked very nice from the outside. I don't think that's a church that has tours and is open in non-service times or non-mass times. And then I'm actually pretty knackered. My knees hurt, my old. I need to go back to my room and relax before the next game is on. But it's so weird, right? The Skyway gives this weird perception of being, and probably not if you're used to it and it's a normal thing that's always been a part of your existence. If it hasn't been and then you're in it, it feels not dystopian in like in apocalyptic dystopian in the sense of that we're in the apocalypse, but in like the aftermath of it. And in some of it you feel like you're in a tunnel even though you're in the sky. It feels like you're underground because you're weaving through these buildings, and it gives you like this detached sense of having visited the city. It's weird. And you know what, probably doesn't happen to everyone, probably depends on how mental you are. I'm pretty mental, so that's how I felt. But I was like, this is so weird because I feel like I'm underground even though I know I'm actually in the sky. And so when I first actually came out of it, I was like like it felt not scared, that's too strong, but I felt a little bit uneasy, a bit weird. It was so weird. But anyway, I was fine. I recovered, and then I thought I'm just going to walk back to the hotel on the street and remember what it's like to be a street living person. But it's funny. If you ever come here, I would be very interested to see how you feel in the Skyway. Anyway. All right, love you, miss you, bye.